That is the way rich people think. Do not trade money for time. No, you should trade. Beep. You should trade money for time. I guess. Gee. Oh, dude. You're killing me here. What's up, everyone? Brian here with Ride Your Money Wave. And I found a video living on $80,000 a year in San Diego. I'm from the Midwest, just a suburb outside of Detroit where the cost of living is reasonable. 80 grand would give you a very comfortable standard of living here. It'd allow you to buy a house. It would allow you to set aside money for retirement, allow you to go on maybe a vacation a year, depending on, what you have in terms of student loan debt and things like that. But 80 grand is a respectable amount of money here in the Midwest. And so I thought I'd take a look, see how this person does it. A lot of times we can learn from other people's mistakes. We can sit back and rather than trying to keep up with the Joneses, we can watch the Joneses. We can see what they're doing, what good decisions are they making, where is it leading them. If you really kind of pay attention to the subtleties, a lot of times that is where the true lesson lies. So let's take a look and see what is going on here.
I want a Ducati, but I can't afford that yet. I would also like perhaps a Rolls Royce.
Okay, pause. Dude, you make 80 grand a year. I'll give you the Ducati. Rolls Royce, you have two options. You're either going to use your materialistic wants as a motivator to figure out how to make more money. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I know that I love housing. I grew up watching Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous with Robin Leach. And in the early days of my wife and I dating, we used to drive down through the city called Grosse Pointe, right on the water. Huge houses. We're talking like old money, okay? Like Henry Ford used to live in that area. Yeah, Edsel Ford lived there. Anyway, gorgeous, gorgeous estates. And I used to drive up and down Lakeshore in order to be inspired, in order to ask myself self-reflecting questions like, what are they doing that I'm not? What are they doing differently to achieve that type of wealth? And it would motivate me. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But if you want a Ducati or a Rolls Royce just to show off or just to, make other people feel less than you, then that violates rule number 3 and you're letting your ego get in the way. And at that point, I'm losing respect for you. So let's hope he salvages this.
I used to watch Gossip Girl, and I was like, these guys have so much money, it's so cool, and I wanted to make money. My name is Andrew Zhao. I make $80,000 a year working in sales in the beautiful sunny San Diego.
I don't know if he said how old he was, but I feel like as you get older, there's a little bit of a wisdom that comes with money and experiences. And when he's saying that he used to watch, not Golden Girls, Gilmore Golden Girls, wasn't that like with Betty White? Wasn't that like the 4 women living together? Okay. Gilmore Girls. When he's watching Gilmore Girls and seeing the money and how much fun that looks like, there's a downside to having that money. You start questioning relationships. You start questioning, what's important. You start money can change you as a person. There's all kinds of psychological studies that show that there's a negative side to acquiring wealth. I don't know if this guy has kind of really wrapped his brain around that yet. So I think the grass is always greener on the other side. He's looking through this with rose-colored glasses.
I want to make more money. I don't think I'll be ever satisfied until I'm really hitting a target like somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000 a year. Who doesn't love to make an extra buck, right? I definitely.
All right. Two quick thoughts. One, I can applaud you for the fact where you're saying, hey, listen, I want to make more money. I'm willing to work hard. I'm going to go out there and hustle. I used to be like that. I'm shifting my gear a little bit, but I understand where that's coming from. You have something that you want to prove to yourself, maybe prove to others as well. But 200, 300,000, I get it. I can wrap my brain around that. But money has a diminishing marginal utility. The more you make, at some certain point, each additional dollar provides you with less and less happiness. And I know the thing that makes me most happy are oftentimes the things that are free or super frugal. Going on an hour-long walk with my wife and looking at houses and talking just the other night was like the highlight of the week. So call me lame, call me boring, that's fine. But honestly, relationships over money.
Definitely like spend money on stuff that I want and that I feel will like set me up for my future.
You know, it's funny when I see these different budgets, I honestly just kind of like gloss over them. I'm not too concerned about rent and stuff like that because that's very location based. When I look at savings, he's saving about 20% of his monthly spending, I guess you could say, 1,000 over 5,000. And that includes a 401k, a Roth IRA, and an HSA. HSA is awesome. I mean, that's really one of the best savings accounts. So the fact that he's setting aside $1,000, cool. Congrats. I don't think they said how old he is, but if you're setting aside $1,000 a month at a young age, you're gonna you're gonna be fine. You're gonna retire okay.
Food is definitely like a big part of our lives. This is so good. We kind of splurge on restaurants. I don't really think about the expense.
Okay. You're losing me, buddy. My wife's working from home today, and I said, hey, you know what? We never have this opportunity. Why don't we go out to lunch? So we went out to lunch, and on the rare occasion, we actually both ordered a meal. Normally, we just kind of split something. We about had a heart attack when it came to $28 with a tip. $28. And I kind of glossed over it. And we're sitting there, and she's like, Brian, I just, $28. Like, we could have bought groceries. And it's like, let's just experience it. So it's funny how he's so nonchalant about food and eating out. And he's saying, like, I don't even look at the price tag. I don't even care. When I can certainly afford a $30 meal, and yet it's giving my wife pause and, heart palpitations, right? So that alone, I think, is starting to show a fork in the road.
I'm just like, I want that food. Put that in my mouth. I'll pay the price. My main passion is something called gloving, an underground art
I think this guy was on Shark Tank.
form that centers around the rave culture. The art form has grown so much, but also awareness. It was on Shark Tank. I believe that gloving is an art form that will ultimately become a billion-dollar industry someday.
Okay, $1 billion industry, I don't know. I don't think the market is that big. On one hand, I absolutely love the stupidity of such things. I love the stupidity of such things because it's like the Snuggie, right? It's so obvious. It's a robe that you wear backwards. It's a blanket with, holes cut out of it. You stick your arms through it. It keeps you warm. That thing blew up, and then it blew up. It blew up because everyone wanted it, and then it blew up because within 2 years, it was off the shelves. It was dumb. So many people came in, made knockoffs of it. It blew up, and then it blew up. But you know what? The person who invented it had a huge payday. I don't know their name, but they are relaxing somewhere on their own private island. And the same is kind of cool with this. It's like, look, I think this is a stupid idea. I'm going to be honest. I think this is pretty dumb. But sometimes that's all you need. You just need a scalable product, which this is, to sell to the masses when gloving is a fad and, kind of dies down. He can walk away with all the money that he made. It's like fidget spinners. As a teacher, ask any teacher. We hate fidget spinners. Whoever invented that, I tip my hat to you. I hope you made a ton of money doing so.
Eventually, I want Throwlights to be something full-time that would replace my income from my sales career. I envision that happening sometime over the next few years. It's just not my focus yet. Right now, I'm really focused on excelling in my sales career and in growing as an artist in gloving. There's a better way out there than trading time for money. My mom has been a huge...
Totally agree. Did you catch that? There's a better way out there than trading time for money. That is the way rich people think. Do not trade money for time. No, you should trade. Beep. You should trade money for time. Do not trade time for money. Time for money is you going to work your 9 to 5. Money for time is using your money so you can free up time so you can do something more valuable with that time.
Huge influence on me. She really taught me make passive income. When my girlfriend moved in with me, we have her extra place, so we Airbnb that out, and we make about $1,000 each per month on that. Since I don't have a car, I rent out my parking spot too. Jasmine, my girlfriend, has a car and she'll drive anywhere that is long distances. For medium distances, I typically will take a bird, just like these little electric scooters all over my city. Or if I need to, I can take an Uber, or most of the time I just walk.
I think depending on where you live, this is a good money move. Like I couldn't do that in Metro Detroit, but if you're in a big city, I don't think you really need a car anymore. Between public transportation, Uber, birds, lifts, all kinds, these electric scooters, there's plenty of ways to get around.
My first experience investing in the stock market was at 16 years old when I somehow convinced my dad to give me $20,000 to invest. At that time, I think
this is not going to end well. At 16, very, very, very few people know the value of $20,000. Very few people. I spend a majority of my time with 16-year-olds, okay? I would say 2 students a year have, $8,000 to $10,000 to their name. And so to convince your parents to have them give you $20,000 to start investing with, oh boy, that's probably not going to end well. I believe in teaching people about money, but the very first foundation of it is you need to learn how to respect your own dollar.
I think it was like 2009. So the stock market had literally just tanked. And I took that money and started making a bunch of fast money. I had stocks that were making like 50, 60% returns in a single day. Eventually, it kind of caught up with me because...
All right, pause there. Jim Cramer has a saying, bulls make money, bears make money, pigs get slaughtered. There are times when, if I'm trading individual stocks, which is a very rare occurrence, what I'll do is once I make a certain amount of money, I will take my initial position out. So I'm always protecting my initial 20 grand that I put into it. And then I play with the house's money. I play with my gains. When I say play, I really mean that I just let it sit there. So if he's making 60% in a single day, at some point, you got to kind of ring the register and you got to say, okay, let me pull my initial investment out. And now if I lose, it's fine. I go back to 20 grand, but I'm just playing with the gains. I'm just leaving the gains invested. Give it back to your dad. Give him 10% return on it, 20% return on it. He'd be thrilled. Oh boy.
Because I wasn't really doing the right kind of stuff, and I ended up losing all of my dad's money when one of my stocks pink slipped. Today I'm
All
more...
right. He lost all his dad's money when one stock. You are not diversified. You're putting all your money into one company. Never. Okay. I mean, diversification is one of the earliest things that you learn in investing.
More of a value investor. I really look at companies that I believe in their future, more stable stocks, blue chips. I think eventually I'll pay my dad back once I have a spare 20 grand laying around. I bought a motorcycle last year. I paid a little bit.
It's concerning to me that he says, I hope to pay my dad back once I have 20 grand laying around. Dude, you need to stop going out to eat. You need to accept the weight of that sacrifice and the decisions that you made, and then give your dad that money back. Money is a sign of respect. How many times on this show and podcast have I said money is a sign of respect and money is a sign of your values? Now, granted, it wasn't a loan. His dad, it sounds like, just gave it to him. It was truly a gift. But for me, out of respect, I would not eat out until that 20 grand is paid back. I would take all the sacrifices. I would not have any fun. I would just live frugally. I'd sell the Triumph. I'd sell the motorcycle until that 20 grand is paid back, because then I would be emotionally free. Maybe not debt free. I mean, you are in terms of the 20 grand, but you're emotionally free to then go make your own decisions. You don't want money to come between someone that you love. It's not worth it. You can always make more money. You can't always get more dads.
A bit in cash, and then most of the rest I got a really good loan. I actually crashed that motorcycle and broke my back. What was really surprising to me was how quickly the medical bills did wrap.
I don't want to interrupt so frequently, but look, there are very few things that I say feel free to take a loan out on. One is a house. The second, if you can avoid it, but sometimes you can't, is an education. And the third is like a car. And even that, in your youth, it's hard to save up to just drop cash on a car. It can be done. You just got to put your ego aside, and you got to buy something that is cheap and reliable and drive it for a long time and save the difference. But the fact that 14 grand and over the years you can't save up enough to just buy it in cash, I'm starting to really disapprove with some of these decisions here.
Rack up. Insurance paid for most of that stuff. I think in total my personal responsibility was like a couple $1,000s. I just kind of have to pay it out of pocket. Right now I don't really have like an emergency fund, which is a little bit concerning, I guess.
I guess. Gee. Oh, dude, you're killing me here. Yeah, you need an emergency fund. I get sometimes you have to take some risk when you're starting your own business. You're going to bootstrap it. You're going to really live lean. But an emergency fund is really a necessity for simply just living. Like, before you get off the ground, you got to have an emergency fund. When you lose your $67,000 a year job and now you have rent to pay, that's when the savings comes in. That's when the emergency fund comes in, right? So the fact that you have zero emergency fund, but you have a motorcycle,
I'm I'm not as focused on saving right now as I am on earning. For me to focus on reducing my expenses, I feel like is thinking small when I'm...
All right, in your youth, you got to do both. You got to save and focus on increasing your earnings. And then as you get older and your earnings go up, then you don't need to focus as much on saving and nickel and diming, being super frugal. Instead, you can start to allow that life to kind of creep up a little bit. It's falling apart, man. It's falling apart. You got to start somewhere. And that somewhere is by discipline. You got to start having some financial discipline, or else it's all talk, it's all smoke and mirrors, and he's not going to be going anywhere.
Trying to think about my future and think about going big. I'm not thinking about how can I cut down on going to restaurants. If I need to, I will, but when I'm trying to think big, I'm thinking about what can I do to hit that next level.
Here's the thing, dude, if you really care about the next level, you really care about making it big and all this other stuff, you would not be going out to restaurants because you'd be pouring every single penny that you can into your business to grow it and scale it. These are the type of people that like are entrepreneurs. And they just like, they get hooked on that like motivational porn. They get hooked on, you know, Gary V, and they talk the language, but they don't actually go out there and reflect what they are trying to achieve in life. You have to be able to grind. Oh, I was hopeful, but this is disappointing.
I've always had big ideas about stuff, and money is just a vehicle to achieving the big dreams that you really have. Eventually, I want to be a multi-millionaire, if not a billionaire. So I guess you could say that's my long-term goal.
I wouldn't make money your goal. I would start by asking, what is your purpose? What fulfills you? And what's your passion? What would you do for free? Like, I would teach for free because I love economics that much. If you begin with the end in mind, if you start by asking those questions, the money will follow. If you're providing that much value through an avenue that you just love and appreciate and you believe in, the money will follow. For me, taking photographs is more philosophical than it is market-based. I get invited into the most important day of someone's life and am trusted to document that. And I get more access to that couple on their wedding day than even family does. I am honored, absolutely honored when someone asks me to be a part of their wedding. Me and my business, it's an extension of myself. It's purpose driven. And in doing so, that allows me to add so much value to my clients that they are willing to pay me for it. Him beginning with the end in mind, saying, I want to be a multimillionaire, if not billionaire. It's kind of sad for me. It's sad and hollow. One of the things that I talk about extensively in my classroom and even with my wife is like, what a great problem it's going to be when we go to retire and we have abundance. Think of how awesome of a problem that's going to be, not so we can, you know, buy a Malibu beach house, but so that we can find causes that resonate with us, that we support. I really think that if you're motivated extrinsically by money, I think that's a word. If you're motivated solely by money, you're going to get burnt out, dude. It's just not there. You have to have a bigger calling, a bigger purpose. If it's gloving, so be it. If it's entrepreneurship so you can provide people with jobs, awesome. But if it's just to become a multimillionaire, if not billionaire, I don't know if you're going to get there. Yeah, period. You know, he said something.
Achieving the big dreams that you really have.
He said, something along the lines of like, money is a tool to use for these big dreams, these big ideas. Ideas are cheap. It's all about execution. I have so many ideas for businesses, and have I executed them? No. And therefore, I've made $0 off of it. The only money you make is when you actually execute. And the same is true when you're investing in stocks. The only money you make is when you actually commit money into the stock market, commit money into your 401k, into your Roth IRA. You have to take that short-term sacrifice for long-term gains. And so if he really wants to get there, dude, every extra penny that you have should be poured into your business. I'm looking at the computer as if he's like Skyping with me and that he can like hear me actually talk to him. So Andrew, if you do ever come across this video, I'm happy to sit down and do a Skype call or Zoom call. I'd look for a constructive conversation with you. Overall, I think Andrew has some areas that he can make better decisions in. I would like to see him pour all of the extra money that he's making into his business. There's going to be a return on investment if he does it right. Stop going out to eat. Put that money into marketing, Google AdWords, getting your product in the hands of the right people, and it will grow. That money will be coming back to you. Going out to eat, it's a dead-end street. I like the entrepreneurial spirit. I like the hustle. I just think that he needs some more direction. So, yeah, a slight disappointment in watching this. All right, that's all I have time for today, but drop an email below. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you find a video that you want me to watch and review. The goal is to build a like-minded community where we can all learn from each other. I'm starting to schedule some podcast guests. Say that 3 times fast. Podcast guests, podcast guests, podcast guests. I guess it can be done. I'm starting to schedule some podcast guests to be on here to tell their financial journey. And I think that's really interesting and exciting because that's what this is about, is to learn from each other. So till next time, use this information, share it with your friends, start working up some constructive conversations about money, start doing some self-reflection about money as well. And when you're in control of your money, you begin to control the direction and the destiny of your life. So till next time, take care and go out there and go live your best life.